We're going to compare decimal values, and in this first one, it's pretty straightforward where we have 3.8. That's 3 and 8 tenths versus 3 and 6 tenths. And so, of course, this would be a greater than sign in that case. All right. In this one here, we have 4.26 repeating decimal. And so what that means is we have 4.26, but this value continues on infinitely, like so, the way that I'm writing it. It's just consistently going to be 26, 26, 26, 26, and so on. All right, and then on the other side, we have this value, 4.266. All right, and so really what we need to do is compare this place value because these first three are the same, right? So that doesn't help us determine which one is larger. So we have to look at not the tenths place, not the hundredths place, but the thousands place. We need to look at the thousands place in order to tell which one's bigger. And so we go here, we go tenths, we go hundredths, and then here's the thousands place for the left side. That's a 2. So really we're comparing the 2 versus this 6, and so obviously the 6 is larger, and our choice here would be less than. That one's less than. Here we have negative 1.902 versus positive 0.92. This is an easy one. All right, of course, this is going to be less than. All right, we have a positive value on the right, and this one's a negative value. That one should be easy. Here we're comparing two negative values. Now remember that the negatives that are further away from 0 on the number line are smaller in size. So even though if you were to cover the negative sign, you know, like this here, and over here, you would say that the left value, if they're both positive, you would say the left value is greater. But that's just not the case, because with negatives, the more negatives you have, the smaller the number is. And so actually negative 0.7 tenths is less than negative 0.7 hundredths. Okay. Here we have 3.088 repeating, so that looks like this, 08, 08, and just keeps going. And then we have just 3.808. Okay, and so let's take a look if we compare values by place value. Okay, start there. So start with the tenths, because the wholes are, you know, the threes are equal. We have 0, and then for the tenths on the right side, we have an 8. And that kind of ends it right there, right? The 8 is much larger than the 0, so boom, we have a less than answer in this case. 0.999 versus 1, okay? So the 1 is greater, and then in this case would be less than. 0.999 is less than. We have 0.32 versus 0.088. Well, just look to the 10 spot here. That's where our first difference is in values. And so 0.32 is greater than. 23.44 versus 23. So since 23 comes with 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, and so on, but the 23.44 comes with a value in that decimal place. That's 44 hundredths, right? And so that makes 23.44 greater. Negative 7 versus negative 8. Like I was saying, if you have more negatives, right? In this case, that's negative 8. That actually makes the value smaller, okay, because it's further away from 0 on that left side. And so this would be greater than. Negative 7 is greater than negative 8. Think of it as it's a better situation to owe $7 than it is to owe $8. That might help you remember to consider less negatives to be the larger value. And negative 4 versus 0. And so once again, -4 is to the left of 0, okay? And that makes it smaller than 0. It's better to owe nothing than it is to owe $4, right? And so 0 is a larger value than -4.